This last year has left people all around the world with a lot of questions about the global economy, about the future of America, and of course about the coronavirus. But there's one question that few people throughout history have dared to ask. What's going on in Canada? Generally, the answer to this question is absolutely nothing. However, in the past couple of years, there's actually been a lot of international attention on the Canadian region. As a result of rising global temperatures, many regions in the Arctic Circle that were previously inaccessible are now being opened up for human exploitation. And one nation famous for its land in the Arctic Circle is, of course, Canada. However, in spite of the increasing economic and military importance of the Arctic region, the Canadian Arctic remains extremely underdeveloped, leading many people around the world to wonder, should Canada invest in the Arctic Circle? And the answer is absolutely yes, for three reasons. The first is that there's a huge wealth of untapped resources in the area. The second is that they can help the indigenous people who currently live there. And the third is that the Canadian investment will help to stop Russian and Chinese influence in the Arctic region. So, first of all, it's generally agreed upon that global warming is probably the worst thing that will ever happen to the human race. However, some nations could actually see a serious benefit from it, one of which is, of course, Canada. As reported by National Geographic in March of 2018, massive reserves of iron, gold, diamonds, and phosphates have been found in the Canadian Arctic in regions that were previously completely covered by ice. And this is likely only to expand as the ice continues to melt in the future. But it's not just mineral resources that are being opened up. As reported by the BBC on the 1st of November 2019, the previously mythical Northwest Passage is now opened up as a result of melting sea ice, which is likely to be a massively important trade route in the future, as it will allow ships to completely avoid long waiting times at the Suez or Panama Canals, or having to take the arduous trip down below South America through the exceedingly dangerous Drake Passage. And with both these natural resources at their disposal, both in terms of mineral deposits and in terms of trade routes, all Canada needs to do is to further invest in these resources, and they are almost certain to see a huge return on their investment, both from mining and to catering to international trade, meaning it's absolutely a good idea for Canada to invest in the Arctic. And while Canada as a whole is going to benefit from this investment, there's one group that's especially going to see benefits, and that is Indigenous people. According to statcan.ca, there are approximately 100,000 people living in the Canadian Arctic, 50,000 of which are Native Americans. And in spite of this massive population, much of the region remains extremely underdeveloped, with plenty of people not having permanent access to things like the internet or electricity, or even in some cases, fresh water. And this is something that's not likely to change. As reported by the Canadian Arctic newspaper, thewalrus.ca, on the 4th of January 2021, existing infrastructure in the area mainly only serves the small mining depots that currently exist. If Canada further invests in the natural resources in the area, they can also help to develop these previously underdeveloped regions where Indigenous people live, as if they expand the infrastructure needed for mining and for dealing with the shipping routes, then the people who live in the area are also going to benefit from this expanded infrastructure. And additionally, it can help to make them more self-sufficient as new job opportunities open up in mining and in other industries that are going to pop up as a result of Canadian investment, meaning it is absolutely a good idea for Canada to invest to help the people who live in the area. And Canada isn't the only nation that's interested in the Arctic, which brings us to our final point. Another nation that's pretty famous for having a lot of land in the Arctic Circle is, of course, Russia. And they have been investing pretty heavily in their Arctic region in the past couple of years. And surprisingly, there's another nation that's very interested in the Arctic Circle. Despite the fact that China is geographically closer to Dubai than they are to the Arctic Ocean, they consider themselves to be a near-Arctic nation, meaning that they have been investing heavily in the Arctic region in the last couple of years. They've even teamed up with Russia on a couple of occasions. As Forbes reported on the 6th of January 2021, the Chinese government invested $8 billion in Russian Arctic development. And they're even trying to take over what little investment Canada has in their Arctic Circle. As reported by the Wall Street Journal on the 22nd of December of 2020, Canada just recently vetoed the purchase of a Canadian mining company by a Chinese one, which shows that China is trying to expand its sphere of influence into Canada's land. So if Canada can further invest in the Arctic Circle, they can help to stop the expansion of the Russian and Chinese sphere of influence in the Arctic Circle, which is sure to be one of the most important, strategically important regions in the world in terms of economy and in military in the next couple of years, and instead place control of the Arctic in the hands of a far friendlier nation. So today we saw that while Canada's Arctic Circle remains extremely underdeveloped at the moment, they absolutely can and should invest in the region in the future for 3 reasons. The first is that there is a huge wealth of untapped resources in the area that Canada can exploit. The second is that they can help the Indigenous people who live in the area. And the final is that Canadian influence in the area can help to hold back the Russian and Chinese expansion of their sphere of influence in the Arctic region. And so for these reasons, it seems clear that the Canadian Arctic is absolutely something that Canada's government should invest in more in the future. All right, thank you. My final time was 6:52. Thank you for watching.